Rome recorded every victory, every emperor, every war. But what if history erased one entire legion? Deep beneath the mountains of Britannia, a forgotten city waited, and something inside was still alive.
Before we begin, wherever you're listening from, whether it's a quiet town, a busy city, or a peaceful countryside, this story is for you. Settle into your favorite chair or rest your head on your pillow. Let the worries of today drift away as we travel back more than 2,000 years to a land of misty hills, ancient oak forests, and warm fires glowing inside humble stone cottages. If these stories bring you comfort, please subscribe and leave a comment so we can continue sharing journeys through history that soothe the heart and calm the mind. History tells us that the Roman Empire conquered nearly everything in its path. From the scorching deserts of Africa to the mist-covered hills of Britannia, Roman legions marched with unmatched discipline and power. Yet among thousands of official records lies a mystery that refuses to die. What if one entire Roman legion simply vanished? No battlefield, no survivors, no graves, only scattered whispers, hidden in forgotten monasteries, broken Celtic stones, and an ancient map that no historian can fully explain. Some believe they were destroyed. Others believe they discovered something so terrifying that Rome erased every record of their existence. Tonight we follow the forgotten trail of the legion that marched beyond the edge of the known world and never returned. The morning mist rolled over the northern frontier of Roman Britannia like a living sea. Beyond the forts, beyond the stone roads, stretched a wilderness that Roman maps simply labeled unknown. For nearly 70 years, Roman soldiers had pushed deeper into Britain, building roads, forts, and towns wherever they conquered. Yet the lands beyond the northern forests remained unconquered. The local Celtic tribes refused to surrender. Roman commanders called them barbarians. The tribes called themselves the guardians of the old world. Among them, strange stories circulated. Stories of a valley where time moved differently. Stories of stone circles that sang beneath the full moon. Stories of warriors who entered sacred forests and were never seen again. Most Roman officers dismissed these tales as superstition. One man did not. General Marcus Valerius Cassian, a veteran commander nearing 60 years of age, had spent decades fighting across the empire. He had survived deserts, mountains, and civil wars. He trusted discipline. He trusted facts. But lately, even Marcus had begun questioning what lay beyond Rome's maps. Several patrols had vanished during the previous winter. Not one body had ever been recovered. No signs of battle, no abandoned equipment, nothing, only silence. That evening, an elderly Celtic woman approached the Roman fort under a flag of peace. The guards laughed. She carried no weapon, only a staff carved with ancient symbols. When General Marcus agreed to meet her, the woman spoke fluent Latin. "You are marching toward a place that does not belong to Rome." Marcus smiled politely. "Every land belongs to Rome eventually." The old woman slowly shook her head. "You believe your empire is eternal." She looked toward the dark forest. "The forest has buried empires older than yours." Marcus asked her one final question. "What lies beyond those trees?" For a long moment, she remained silent. Then she whispered, "Not death." Marcus frowned. "Then what?" The old woman looked directly into his eyes. "Memory." Without another word, she turned and disappeared into the mist. That night, Marcus could not sleep. The old woman's words echoed inside his mind. "Not
Death. Memory. Just before dawn, a frightened messenger arrived at the fort. His horse collapsed from exhaustion, covered in blood and mud. He held out a broken Roman standard. He managed to speak only 6 words before collapsing. They found the city beneath the mountain. The standard carried the symbol of a legion that had disappeared 23 years earlier. The messenger collapsed before General Marcus Valerius Cassian could ask another question. His body trembled violently. The young soldier had clearly ridden for days without rest. A Roman physician knelt beside him, carefully removing his torn armor. Silence fell across the entire fortress. Then, Marcus noticed something unusual. The broken Roman standard lying beside the messenger was unlike any he had seen in years. It carried the faded crimson eagle of Legionem Hispana, the legendary 9th Legion, a legion that had officially disappeared more than 20 years earlier. According to Rome's records, every soldier had died somewhere in northern Britannia. No bodies had ever been found. No battlefield had ever been discovered. Only unanswered questions. Marcus slowly picked up the ancient standard. Its wooden shaft was blackened by age. The silver eagle had been deeply scratched, as if something with enormous claws had tried to tear it apart. No ordinary battle could explain such damage. The physician suddenly looked up. "The messenger is awake." Marcus immediately knelt beside him. The young soldier opened his frightened eyes. His lips trembled. Marcus leaned closer. "Who?" "The men beneath the mountain." His breathing became faster. "They're still alive." Every officer standing nearby exchanged confused looks. Marcus remained perfectly calm. "Who is alive?" "The 9th Legion," the messenger whispered. "They never died." For several seconds, no one spoke. Even the crackling fire seemed to fall silent. Then the messenger gripped Marcus's arm with surprising strength. "You must destroy the map." Marcus frowned. "What map?" "The one hidden inside the eagle." Before Marcus could ask another question, the messenger let out one final breath. His hand slowly fell away. He was dead. Marcus carefully examined the old Roman standard once more, running his fingers beneath the silver eagle. He felt something unexpected, a hollow compartment. Using his dagger, he gently pried the metal open. Inside, hidden for more than 2 decades, lay a tightly rolled piece of wax-covered parchment. The map was astonishingly detailed. Roman roads, mountain passes, rivers, ancient Celtic villages. But one location had been drawn differently. A black mountain. No name, no explanation. Only one sentence written in faded Latin. "Beyond this gate, Rome no longer rules." Marcus stared at the words. Someone inside the 9th Legion had written this, not as a warning, but as a confession. Before the first rays of sunlight touched the hills of Britannia, General Marcus Valerius Cassian and 80 of Rome's finest legionaries rode north. The mysterious map was locked inside an iron chest. No one except Marcus was allowed to look at it again. The road soon disappeared. Roman engineering ended where the wilderness began. Ahead lay dense forests that had never been conquered, where twisted oak trees blocked the sky, and ancient stones stood like silent guardians. Every soldier could feel it. The forest was unnaturally quiet. There were no birds, no wolves, not even the sound of insects, only the steady rhythm of armored boots and nervous horses. Hours passed. As the expedition climbed into the mountains, they discovered something no Roman had ever reported: a perfectly paved stone road. Marcus dismounted and knelt beside the weathered stones. The craftsmanship was extraordinary, yet it was not Roman. The blocks were fitted so precisely that even after centuries, no grass had grown between them. "Who built this?" whispered one of the officers. Marcus had no answer. The road led directly toward the black mountain marked on the ancient map. Suddenly, a horn echoed across the valley. It was not Roman. It was deeper, older. The sound rolled through the cliffs like thunder. The legionaries instantly raised their shields. Archers searched the trees. Nothing, only thick fog. Then, a figure appeared on the ridge above them. A lone warrior wearing dark armor unlike anything the Romans had ever seen. His helmet was shaped like the head of a raven. He carried no shield, only a long spear. For several heartbeats, he simply watched them. Marcus called out in Latin, no reply. Then in the Celtic tongue, still silence. The mysterious warrior slowly lifted his spear and pointed toward the mountain, not as a threat, as an invitation. The next moment, he stepped backward into the mist and vanished. The soldiers rushed uphill. There were no footprints, no broken branches. It was as if the stranger had dissolved into the fog itself. As evening approached, the expedition reached the mountain. Its towering cliffs rose like the walls of a fortress carved by giants. At the center stood an enormous stone gate covered with faded carvings, Roman eagles, Celtic knots, and symbols older than either civilization. Marcus ran his hand across one weathered inscription. His face turned pale. The words were written in flawless Latin. "Only those who surrender their past may enter." Before anyone could speak, the earth trembled. Dust fell from the cliffs. With a deafening roar, the stone gate slowly began to open by itself. A freezing wind rushed out from the darkness beyond. Torch flames bent backward. The horses panicked. Several soldiers crossed themselves instinctively. Then, a faint light appeared deep inside the mountain. Not fire, not sunlight, something else, something ancient. And from within the darkness came the unmistakable sound of marching Roman soldiers. Steady, disciplined, thousands of footsteps, exactly as they would have sounded 23 years ago. The moment the stone gate fully opened, the world itself seemed to change. The air that rushed out was not cold, it was ancient, as if it had been sealed away for centuries, waiting to breathe again. General Marcus Valerius Cassian raised his hand. The legion behind him froze. Even the horses refused to move forward. Inside the mountain, there was no darkness, there was light, but not the light of fire or sun. It was a strange pale glow that seemed to come from the stone itself. Marcus stepped forward, then another step, and finally, he crossed the threshold. What he saw made him forget every battle he had ever fought. They were standing inside a vast underground valley, not a cave, not a tunnel, a hidden city carved beneath the mountain itself. Massive stone structures rose from the ground like forgotten temples. Roads stretched in perfect symmetry. Aqueducts carried glowing water that shimmered faintly blue. And above them, a ceiling so high it disappeared into darkness, as if the sky had been trapped underground. But the most shocking sight was not the city, it was the people. Roman soldiers stood in formation, perfect lines, perfect discipline, crimson banners waving gently in an unseen wind. Their armor was Roman, their weapons were Roman, but something was wrong. They did not look like men who had been lost for 23 years. They looked unchanged, unaged, as if time had stopped the moment they entered this place. Marcus whispered under his breath, "This is impossible." Then a voice answered him, calm, familiar, yet impossible. From the center of the city, a figure walked forward. He wore a general's armor, but older in style than Marcus had ever seen. His face carried authority, not of Rome, but of something far older. And then, Marcus froze, because the man spoke his name without hesitation. Marcus Valerius Cassian. No Roman outside the empire should have known him here. The man stopped a few steps away. His expression was neither hostile nor welcoming. It was patient, as if he had been waiting for this moment for a very long time. "I expected you sooner," the man said quietly. Marcus tightened his grip on his sword. "Who are you?" The man looked around the underground city, at the endless legion, at the impossible architecture, at the silence that pressed against everything like stone. Then he answered, "I am what remains of the 9th Legion." A long silence followed. Even the wind seemed to stop. The mysterious commander stepped closer. His voice lowered, almost a whisper. "Rome thinks we vanished." He paused, then added the words that shattered everything Marcus believed. "But we never left." Marcus could not take his eyes off the mysterious commander. Around him stood hundreds of Roman legionaries. Not a single soldier moved. Not a single shield shifted. They stood like statues waiting for an order that had never come. The commander slowly turned. "Walk with me, General." Marcus hesitated. His officers tightened their grip on their swords. The commander noticed. "You may bring them," he said calmly. "No blade has been drawn in this city for many years." Marcus nodded. "Stay close." The expedition followed the commander through streets unlike anything Rome had ever built. The roads were smooth white stone. Towering pillars reached into darkness. Water flowed through crystal channels, glowing with a faint blue light. Every building carried two symbols carved side by side, the Roman eagle and an ancient Celtic knot. It was as if two civilizations had become one. After several minutes, they reached a colossal hall. Bronze doors nearly 50 feet high slowly opened without a sound. Inside stood dozens of stone thrones. Each throne held a crown. Each crown belonged to a different kingdom. Marcus recognized several: Rome, Gaul, Britannia, Germania. But many others belonged to civilizations he had never seen before. Some crowns were made from black stone, others shimmered like silver beneath the pale underground light. At the center of the hall stood an empty throne. Unlike the others, it was carved from a single block of obsidian. Above it hung a faded banner, not Roman, not Celtic, something far older. Marcus stared at it. What kingdom ruled here? The commander's face grew solemn. "No kingdom." "Then who?" "The Keepers." Silence settled over the chamber. One of Marcus's captains whispered, "I've never heard that name." The commander smiled faintly. "Rome was never meant to." He approached the empty throne. Long before Caesar crossed the sea. Long before Rome dreamed of Britannia. There existed an order whose only duty was to protect knowledge that humanity was not ready to possess. Marcus frowned. "What knowledge?" The commander looked toward the ceiling. "For centuries, they guarded a doorway." "A doorway to what?" Marcus asked. The commander answered quietly. "To memory itself." Marcus remembered the old Celtic woman's warning. Not death, memory. For the first time, those words began to make sense. Suddenly, a deep horn echoed through the underground city. Not once, 3 times. The commander's expression changed instantly. Fear. Real fear. He turned toward the entrance. "They've awakened!" Marcus stepped forward. "Who?" The commander whispered only one word. "The Watchers." The torches throughout the hall flickered violently. The ground trembled. Dust rained from the ancient ceiling. Then, a scream echoed from somewhere beyond the palace. It was Roman, one of Marcus's soldiers, then added the words that shattered everything Marcus believed. "But we never left." Marcus and his men rushed toward the palace entrance. Outside, the silent city was no longer silent. Roman soldiers were running through the streets. Some pointed toward the darkness beyond the glowing walls. Others dropped their weapons in terror. Marcus looked into the distance. At first, he saw only shadows. Then the shadows moved, not like men, not like animals. Hundreds of tall, cloaked figures were slowly emerging from the darkness, carrying lanterns that burned with pale blue flames. The mysterious commander drew his sword for the first time in 23 years. His voice trembled. "Close the gates before they remember us." The great bronze gates thundered shut. Their echo rolled through the underground city like the roar of a sleeping giant. Every Roman soldier instinctively formed a shield wall. Years of discipline took over. No one asked questions. No one broke rank. Beyond the walls, the blue lanterns continued to move. Slowly, patiently, hundreds of silent figures approached through the glowing mist. They did not march like soldiers. They glided, as though the ground itself carried them forward. General Marcus tightened his grip on his sword. He had faced Germanic tribes, desert rebels, and eastern kingdoms, but never anything like this. The mysterious commander stepped beside Marcus. "They were once men," he whispered. "They guarded this city before Rome was founded." Marcus looked at him in disbelief. "Impossible." The commander shook his head. "Nothing beneath this mountain follows the rules of the world above." The blue light stopped just beyond the gates. Silence returned. Then, a single knock echoed through the city. One knock, the walls trembled. A second knock, dust fell from the ancient towers. The third knock nearly threw several soldiers to the ground. One frightened legionary whispered, "What kind of weapon can do that?" The commander answered without looking away, "No weapon, only memory." Suddenly, one of Marcus's youngest scouts screamed. He dropped his shield. His eyes widened with terror. "I know that man." Everyone turned. Among the cloaked figures stood an elderly Roman officer. His armor was broken. His face was scarred, yet his expression was peaceful. The young scout collapsed to his knees. "My father." The soldiers stared at him. Marcus frowned. "Your father died 10 years ago." The scout nodded, tears filling his eyes. "I buried him." Yet the old man beyond the gate smiled gently and raised one trembling hand. The scout stepped toward the gate, as if pulled by an invisible force. Marcus grabbed him. "Hold your position!" But the young soldier struggled desperately. "He needs me!" Marcus struck him across the face. The spell broke instantly. The scout collapsed, sobbing. The commander closed his eyes. "They have begun." Marcus demanded an explanation. "What are these things?" The commander answered slowly. "The Watchers never attack with swords. They awaken what people cannot bear to forget. They show you those you loved. They offer one more conversation, one more embrace. One more chance. Marcus felt a chill run through his body. And if someone accepts, the commander remained silent. Finally, they never return. A deep horn suddenly echoed from the highest tower. Every veteran of the 9th Legion immediately raised their shields. The commander looked toward Marcus. "We don't have much time," Marcus asked. "What happens at sunrise?" The commander's face turned pale. "They enter without warning." A loud crack echoed across the city. Everyone looked upward. One section of the enormous bronze gate had begun to split. A thin blue light seeped through the opening. Then, a pale hand slowly reached inside. It was human, yet impossibly ancient. Its skin looked like weathered marble. Its fingers carried rings bearing symbols older than Rome itself. The entire Roman line stepped backward. Even Marcus felt fear. For the first time in his military career, he questioned whether courage alone would be enough. The pale hand slowly gripped the broken gate. Then another hand appeared, and another. Within seconds, dozens of ancient hands were pushing from the other side. The bronze gate groaned under impossible pressure. The commander turned to Marcus, his voice barely above a whisper. "If the Watchers cross this gate, the world above will remember things that were buried before history began." Marcus raised his sword. The Roman horns sounded across the hidden city. For the first time in 23 years, the bronze gate screamed, a sound not of metal breaking, but of something ancient, resisting its own destruction. Marcus Valerius Cassian stood at the front line of the Roman formation. His sword was raised, his shield locked. Behind him stood 80 disciplined legionaries of the surface world, men who had marched into the unknown and discovered a reality Rome was never meant to see. Before them, the gate continued to fracture, and through the widening cracks, the pale blue light intensified. It was not fire, not magic. It felt structured, engineered, like a hidden force was pressing from the other side with calculated patience. The mysterious commander of the 9th Legion stepped forward. For the first time, Marcus saw uncertainty in his face. "They are not supposed to reach the inner gate," he said quietly. Marcus turned sharply. "Then stop them." The commander gave a bitter smile. "We stopped them once." He looked toward the trembling bronze doors. "And it cost us 23 years of isolation." Suddenly, a violent odor echoed through the city. The gate split open further. A section of bronze tore away completely and crashed onto the stone floor with a deafening impact. Silence followed. Then, the first figure stepped through. It was not a monster, not a ghost, not a demon. It was a human, but impossibly old. Its armor was Roman in origin, yet heavily modified with symbols Marcus had never seen. Its eyes reflected the blue glow like polished glass. It looked at Marcus and spoke in perfect Latin. "You brought outsiders." Marcus tightened his grip. "Identify yourself." The figure tilted its head slightly. "I am Centurion Lucius Varro, of the 9th Legion." A shock rippled through Marcus's men. That name should have been lost to history. The commander of the hidden city stepped forward. "You are not Varro," he said coldly. "You are what the gate made you become." The figure smiled faintly. "We are what Rome forgot." Then it raised its hand. Behind it, more figures appeared, dozens, then hundreds, forming disciplined ranks inside the broken gate. Marcus realized something terrifying. They were not invading. They were returning to formation. A horn sounded again, But this time it came from deep inside the mountain. The city responded instantly. Hidden Roman Celtic legions began mobilizing across the glowing streets. Shields raised, swords drawn, banners lifted. The commander turned to Marcus. "This is no longer a meeting," he said. "This is a correction." Marcus frowned. "A correction of what?" The commander pointed toward the gate. "Reality!" A sudden explosion of blue light erupted from the breach. The ground trembled violently. The bronze gate collapsed inward, and something massive began to move through. Not a person, not a soldier, but a structure of motion itself, like thousands of synchronized movements, forming one impossible presence. Marcus stepped back instinctively. For the first time in his life, he felt completely unprepared for war. The transformed centurion raised his sword toward Marcus, not in aggression, but in command. "You do not belong in the First Memory War." Marcus stepped forward. "What war?" The centurion's eyes darkened. "The one Rome erased before Rome was born." The ground beneath them began to crack again. And from the deepest part of the mountain, something older than the 9th Legion. The moment the ground cracked, everything changed. A deep tremor ran through the underground city, shaking its impossible architecture like a living organism waking from centuries of sleep. Marcus Valerius Cassian staggered, but held his ground. Around him, Roman soldiers raised their shields instinctively. Training took over fear, but even discipline had limits, because what emerged from the broken gate was not simply an army. It was a rewriting of identity itself. The centurion, once known as Lucius Varro, stepped forward. Behind him, the transformed 9th Legion advanced in a perfect formation. Every step echoed with unnatural synchronization. Not like men marching, like memory repeating itself. The commander of the hidden city whispered in disbelief. "They've activated full recall alignment." Marcus turned sharply. "Speak plainly." The commander's voice was tense. "They are no longer individuals. They are what the gate remembers them to be." The air between the two forces tightened. Then, the first arrow was fired. It was not Roman. It came from the 9th Legion side. It struck a shield, and instead of bouncing off, it dissolved into blue light upon impact. Marcus froze. "That's not possible!" A second volley followed. This time the Roman shields began to shimmer. One soldier screamed as his shield turned translucent, as if reality itself was being overwritten. Panic began to spread. Marcus shouted, "Hold formation!" But the underground city was no longer stable. The glowing aqueducts flickered. The stone pillars vibrated. Even the light itself seemed to stutter. The commander of the hidden city looked upward in horror. "They've opened the lower memory layer." Marcus grabbed him. "What does that mean?" The commander hesitated, then answered quietly. "It means the mountain is remembering something it was never supposed to keep." A thunderous roar echoed from deep below. Not from the battlefield, from beneath everything. The ground split open further, and something massive began to rise. A structure, but not built, formed like thousands of overlapping civilizations compressed into one impossible shape. Roman arches, Celtic stone circles, unknown symbols rotating like a living language. Marcus stepped back slowly, his voice barely a whisper. "What is that?" The commander replied with fear for the first time. "The first memory." Suddenly, the 9th Legion stopped advancing. Every soldier froze mid-step. Even Lucius Varro lowered his sword slightly, as if listening. Then, A voice echoed through the entire underground city. Not from a person, not from an army, but from everywhere at once. "The cycle is broken." The sound shook Marcus's bones. Some soldiers dropped their weapons instantly. Others fell to their knees, clutching their heads. Reality itself seemed to bend. Marcus looked at the centurion. "You said this was a correction." The centurion nodded slowly. "Yes," Marcus demanded. "Correction of what?" The centurion's answer changed everything. "Of every civilization that tried to remember what should remain forgotten." The glowing structure beneath them rose higher. The battlefield between two Roman legions became insignificant, because something far larger was awakening beneath the war itself. The commander of the hidden city finally spoke. "If it fully emerges, neither Rome nor the 9th Legion will remain unchanged." Marcus tightened his grip on his sword. "Then we stop it." The commander looked at him sadly. "You cannot stop memory." The ground erupted. A shockwave of blue-white light exploded across the city. Both armies were thrown backward. Marcus was lifted off his feet. And in that moment of chaos, he saw something inside the rising structure. A vision, not of the present, but of every battlefield Rome had ever fought, rewriting itself into something else. Marcus looked up and saw the entire underground city beginning to rewrite itself. Stone becoming light, light becoming memory, and memory becoming something. "Return to the beginning." The words did not echo. They replaced silence itself. Marcus stood frozen as the underground battlefield dissolved into light. Not fire, not explosion. Something far more unnatural. Reconstruction. The massive structure rising beneath the mountain began to unfold like a memory being replayed incorrectly. Roman roads appeared in the air, then collapsed into Celtic stone circles, then reshaped into something older than both. Soldiers from both legions stopped fighting, not because they chose to, but because time itself lost meaning. Marcus looked down at his hands. They were flickering, as if his existence was unstable. Beside him, the 9th Legion centurion whispered, "It has begun to remember us." Suddenly, the world shifted. Marcus was no longer in the battlefield. He stood in an empty landscape of white stone. No sky, no ground, only endless columns of shifting symbols. Before him stood a figure. Not human, not soldier, but something formed from layered history itself. It spoke without sound, yet Marcus understood every word. "You were not supposed to reach this depth." Marcus tried to speak, but his voice fractured. "What is this place?" The entity responded. "This is where all empires are stored before they are allowed to exist." A violent pulse shook the space. Marcus saw visions. Rome rising, Rome burning, Rome never existing at all at once. The entity continued. "The 9th Legion did not vanish. They were archived." Marcus staggered. Archived. A failed variation of Rome, preserved beneath the mountain. The truth hit like a blade. The 9th Legion was not lost. It was contained. A scream echoed nearby. Reality cracked again. Marcus returned briefly to the battlefield. The glowing structure had fully awakened now. Entire sections of the underground city were dissolving into raw light. Both armies were collapsing into shifting memory fragments. The centurion grabbed Marcus. "We cannot stay here," Marcus shouted. "Then what is this thing trying to become?" The centurion answered with fear. "A world without forgetting!" The ground split open again. This time, something rose that had no shape, only intent. The first memory was not a weapon, not a god, not a machine. It was a system that rewrote existence every time a civilization grew too large. Marcus realized the horrifying truth. If it completed its cycle, Rome would not fall. It would be edited out of history entirely. Marcus stood alone in the shifting void. Around him, history itself was breaking apart. Roman legions dissolved into light. Celtic forests rewrote themselves into stone. Entire civilizations flickered like unstable memories. The entity waited, still, patient, unmoving. Then it spoke again. Accept reset, or become a fixed error. Marcus tightened his grip on his sword, but the sword was no longer fully solid. It flickered like everything else. Beside him, the 9th Legion Centurion stepped forward. His voice was quiet. If you refuse, Rome will fracture forever. Marcus turned. What happens if I accept? The entity answered immediately. You will forget this ever happened. A pause. Then, and your world will continue. Silence. A terrifying kind of silence. Marcus saw it all now. Not war, not monsters, but a system that corrected civilizations whenever they became unstable. Rome, Carthage, Egypt, all possibly rewritten versions of something older. The Centurion lowered his head. We were the last correction that failed, Marcus asked softly. And if I refuse? The Centurion answered. Then you become the reason history stops evolving. The void began collapsing. Fast now. The decision was ending. The entity raised its hand. Marcus closed his eyes. For a moment, he saw Earth above, fields, cities, his empire, people living without knowing any of this existed. He lowered his sword. The entity spoke. Choice registered. A massive pulse of light erupted. Everything went white. Everything vanished into white. Not destruction, not explosion, just absence. Then slowly, sound returned. Marcus opened his eyes. He was no longer in the void. He was standing on solid ground, grass beneath his boots, wind on his face, a sky above him, blue, endless, normal. For a moment, he could not move. Around him stood Roman soldiers, but not in battle formation, not in fear, just standing, quiet, confused, alive. The underground city, the glowing structures, the watchers, all gone, as if they had never existed. Marcus turned slowly. The 9th Legion was gone. The Centurion was gone. Even the strange mountain that should have stood before them was no longer there. Only open land stretched ahead. Empty, silent, unclaimed. One of Marcus's officers whispered, "General, where are we?" Marcus did not answer immediately. He looked at his hands. Solid, real, no flicker, no distortion. Then he noticed something strange. His memory felt incomplete, like a book missing entire chapters. A distant Roman eagle cry echoed from somewhere far behind them. Marcus turned. On the horizon, a Roman road, perfectly built, fresh stone, as if newly constructed. A rider approached, fast, urgent. The messenger stopped before Marcus. Breathless, he delivered a scroll. Marcus opened it. His eyes narrowed. The seal was imperial, but the emperor's name was wrong. Not Tiberius, not Hadrian, not anyone he knew. The message read, "Report of expanded Britannia frontier successful. No record of 9th Legion exists in imperial archives." Marcus froze. His chest tightened. He looked again. No 9th Legion, no hidden city, no underground war, nothing. A cold realization spread through him. The system had not destroyed the world. It had edited it. Marcus whispered, "So, it worked." Behind him, the wind shifted. For a brief second, he thought he heard voices, faint, far away, like echoes buried under reality itself. The officer asked, "Sir, what do we report happened here?" Marcus paused for a long moment, then slowly said, "Nothing." He mounted his horse. The legion followed. They turned back toward Rome, toward a world that would never know what was removed from it. As they rode away, the camera pulls back over the landscape. Everything looks normal, peaceful, perfect, but deep beneath the earth, far beyond memory. A faint blue light flickers once, then fades again, as if something is still waiting to be remembered.